What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and in today's episode we are going to be going over achievement lists in our fighting game. So in the previous episode we went over achievements, and now we're going to be going over the achievement list. So now that we have these achievement tiles, we can put them on a menu to display all the details about all the achievements, as well as other things like if we have unlocked them or if we have progress toward them already. Additionally, we could put things like rewards on this menu or claiming the achievements, so once we beat them or unlock them, we might be able to claim them to get a reward that way. We have a lot of different options, and that's all going to be handled on this menu. Now, if you'd like to get caught up in this series and check out everything we've done, feel free to check out this episode right here, the top right corner, and you'll see the entire fighting game tutorial series. There are new episodes every single Sunday. If you're only interested in the achievements, then I recommend that you check out this episode, which is the previous episode, the Achievement Tiles episode, because we are going to be using that logic and building off of it today. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. This is a code and blueprint tutorial series, but everything's going to be done in the blueprint today. So first things first, we have to decide where we want to put this. Now, eventually I want to put it on my player profile by using a widget switcher and going over to my achievements tab. But for the time being, I'm making a new widget entirely with its own menu just to demonstrate this. It'll be a very simple swap to put it on the player profile, so don't worry. We're not doing a lot of extra work here. But make sure you decide how you want to handle that. So if you're going to handle it like I do, then we want to make a new widget for the achievement list. To do this, we can go to wherever we want to add the widget. So I'm going to go to my Blueprint Widgets Menus folders, and I'm going to add User Interface Widget Blueprint. I'm going to select User Widget, and it is going to create this. Now this works in UE4 and UE5. If you're in UE4, you don't have to select User Widget here. It will have made the widget after the previous step. I'm going to hit cancel because I already have it, but just click this button and then you will make a new widget, and I'm going to call that achievement list. Go ahead and go into it. In Unreal Engine 4, you will start with a canvas panel here. You may leave that canvas panel there. In Unreal Engine 5, you will not, but you can simply go to panel and drag a canvas panel onto the widget to get it like I have it here. I've used all the default variables and values, so you don't have to change anything on it. But I do like to have a canvas panel for organization purposes. Now, first thing we're going to want is our title. So I've added a text box right here, just standard text widget. Added it to my canvas panel, and I called it Achievement List Title. Didn't make it a variable because this doesn't need to change. Here are my position sizes. I've anchored it to the top center. I've given it an alignment of 0.5, that way it is in the center of the text. So as we resize this text by changing the title, it will automatically center itself on the canvas. I also made sure to select size to content so that the text fills out to the size of the text. And then I set my size to 48, my outline size to 4. And you can adjust other things in here if you need to or want to, but I did not need to. Next, we are going to add a vertical box. The vertical box is going to be what holds all of our elements here. So I've decided to go 2 across, so 2 in a row, and then as many rows as we need. Of course, make this to your liking. So if you only want one achievement, you don't need to have 2 here, you can just have 1. Now, I went ahead and added another widget called Achievement Tile Row. This isn't required and we're not actually using it, but I was playing around with my achievements and my widgets regarding them so that I could get the feel that I wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you what I did real quick. So I added another widget called Achievement Tile Row, added a canvas panel, added a horizontal box so that when I added these achievement widgets, they would be next to each other. So I added one of my achievement tiles by searching Achievement Tile, which is my widget that we made in the previous episode. And then I added another achievement tile. So I've called the first one left achievement tile, the second one right achievement tile. I then added a spacer between them, which is just simply called spacer. And I set the spacer to fill right here on the size. So essentially, I decided how much space should be between the left and the right achievement tile, and I could play around with that value. So this takes up the whole space of the canvas panel while having some space between them so they're not right up against each other. If you'd like to use your achievement tile row in your achievement list, you absolutely can. I've actually done something similar for this in other widgets throughout the series, but it's not required, and in fact, I'm not going to use it today. But this could be a good prototyping method for you, so feel free to use it if it does help you. Now I'm going to go to my achievement list, and in here I basically do want to do the same thing. So I have my vertical box, which I described. To find this, you can just simply search vertical box and drag it into your canvas panel. I'm going to rename it to simply vertical box without the number. Now I anchored this to the top fold, which basically means it will go the whole width, but not the whole height. And it's also at the top of this. So I selected this one, and then here are my values to get it looking like this. So it doesn't go the whole way across, it's very close. Given it an alignment of 0.5 so that it was centered on the page here based off of these values. And that is it for my vertical box, but I want to add a horizontal box to my vertical box. Horizontal box, because the vertical box is going to allow us to place multiple widgets on top of each other and in this order. So if I am to add more elements to the vertical box, you'll see that they will appear directly below them. That's what a vertical box does, and that's really helpful for us. The horizontal box allows them to be on the left and right of each other. So as we add more elements here to the horizontal box, then you'll see that there is more space that is taken up in the horizontal box. And at this point it's going off the screen, and I don't really want that, but that is what a horizontal box does. So in our case here, I have my horizontal box, and you can see my settings for this, although they are all the default in this case. I didn't have to change anything for that. Then I added my achievement tiles like I mentioned in the achievement tile row, so I can just search for achievement tile and add them to the horizontal box. The first one I renamed to left achievement tile. Nothing in here is really special. Added my spacer, which just gets a little bit of distance between these two. I set the size to fill. That way there is a gap. Of course, not required. Just a little gap between these things makes it look a little bit nicer. Then I have my right achievement tile, which again is all default behavior. And that's how our horizontal box is set up. Then I've added a background image. So this is just a standard image. I've called it background image. It is a variable here because if you want to be able to change the background as you go over and select different achievements, you could do that, but it's not required. You can toggle it off if you have a static background you want to use. For the anchors, I've selected the full widget here. So basically it will try to encompass the entire parent element. And you can see it's doing that. I have all my offsets to 0. I did set the Z order to -1 so it appears behind everything because it is the background image. I changed my color and opacity to have an RGB of 0.16 just to get this gray color instead of straight black like I have on some of my other menus. Nothing else in here needs to be changed. Then I've added my back button, which is a standard button widget. I've anchored it to the top left and given it these positions. It's pretty much all you need to know about the button, but I did give it a style of my common button style that I always use. So make sure it matches your other buttons in your game. Then I've added text to that button called back button text or BB text. And here are my settings for that. 36 font, outline size 2, text just says back. And there you go. So this is the design for my achievement list. Now, again, we will be adding this to the player profile. So we want the back button on the player profile to work, and that's something we haven't set up yet, but since we're going to be testing more with this, let's go ahead and just add this simple functionality. We can do it with just the mouse click for now since we don't have menu navigation set up on this widget. So on the player profile, I clicked on my back button, and I'm going to scroll down to the events at the bottom and press the plus for the onPressed event. It'll bring me to the graph. The onPress back button. Here I want to call my custom place on 2D function and pass in my whoosh 2 sound effect. This is the sound effect I always use for my back button. So I'm just playing the sound effect so that when we press it, we get that audible notification. Then I'm calling remove from parent on this widget. So basically once we press the back button, this widget will be removed from the viewport and we will go back to the main menu. Since we have that on the player profile, we want to add this logic to the achievement list as well. So again, we have the back button on here already. We can scroll down to our events and press the plus for onPressed. In the graph, We have our on press back button, so I'm playing my custom sound effect here, Boosh 2, and then I'm removing it from the parent. So regardless if we have the player profile or the achievement list up, if we press the back button, we're going to remove it and we're going to go back to the main menu. Now, let's go back to the original achievement tile, the one we made in the last episode. There is one thing we should do in here, and that is go into the graph, go to your variables for achievement name, description, and icon. In here, set default values. Default values will be at the bottom, and we want to assign something default. That way, if we forget the text somewhere else, it's not just completely blank. So I have achievement name as literally just achievement name, achievement description as the description of how to unlock this achievement / trophy, and the achievement icon as this image right here. So if I open it up, I can go to the image, and I've selected my attack icon swap image. Your achievement tile row, if you have it, and your achievement list widgets will get these default values updated, but just so you know how to change these are just temporary for now. I'm just using them as examples for our template. In the next episode of achievements, we're going to be making a data table full of them and reading them into this widget. However, if you ever want a static achievement anywhere, you can go to any of your widgets. So starting in achievement tile row, if I click on my left achievement tile, you'll see I have the default values, the achievement description, name, and icon here. They should be filled out since we filled them out in the variable list, but you can always update them here if you want to change the look of it. So I have the first one as achievement name and the second one as achievement name too. Just that small difference allows us to make sure that our logic is working correctly and that the values are being updated with what we're passing into those variables. Now that we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and spawn our achievement list widget. That way we can actually see it and make sure it looks like what we want it to look like. So in our main menu screen widget, we were creating the player profile when we selected the profile button. We're still going to want to do this, but temporarily, let's switch this out for the achievement list. I go into my graph of my main menu screen widget and go to my confirm selection function. I can go to the index that is actually triggering the player profile widget and adding it to the viewport, and instead I'm going to switch it out for our new achievement list widget. I can do this by typing create widget. Then I can select achievement list. I can drag off of it and add it to the viewport. Add to viewport. And that's what I have here. And you can see that the index 5, was going into player profile widget. We want to drag this into the achievement list widget instead. All sorts of details about this confirm selection function are in previous episodes of the series if you are interested in learning more about it. But essentially, we have a switch statement that takes the confirmed player choice, and the indices of the switch statement are determined by what button we're on. So story is index 0, arcade is index 1, versus is index 2, online is index 3, practice is index 4, profile is index 5, and that's why we're using index 5 here. So just drag this in and create the achievement list widget and add that to the viewport instead of the player profile widget. And now when we come into the game, if we are to play, we can get rid of our stuff at the start, go to the profile, and it will load up this achievement list right here. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. If this helped you make your achievement list in your game, please subscribe. That's more for myself in the series than anything else you can do. I just really appreciate it. I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters, YouTube membership supporters, and Discord subscription supporters. Thank you all so much for all the kind support. I'm really, really grateful, and you guys keep this series alive, so thank you for all the love. If you had any issues with this tutorial or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community. There's free support in there. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.